Hello and welcome. Today we have one of our very favorites, Pastor Siri Strommen from Ascension Lutheran Church, Atonement Lutheran Church. Food already. Minnesota. It's been a while since we talked, I guess. Welcome, Siri.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Joining us. So we're going to be winging it today. I just talked to Siri about this. We'll see. If you're watching it, that means everything went fine. And if you're not, I am still kind of in the throes of not being hyperbolic here. Life-changing weekend. Literally, I had experiences this weekend. I'll probably cry at some point. I'll tell you where I was at. I was at it was a women's weekend. It was a women's retreat, soul connection weekend. It was sacred. I don't know if I want to say shamanic ceremony, because I don't know if the female leaders would actually describe themselves as that, but the experience I had is indescribable, though I'm going to try. Here's the thing, you know, I was there from Friday evening until Sunday, Saturday. Everything's so mixed up right now. Anyway, we had two big ceremonies, and Friday night at the end of that ceremony, all I kept hearing as I was coming out of this state was no more hiding, no more hiding. And Siri, if you remember, Siri and I actually met 2 years ago in Mount Shasta, and Mount Shasta is a very sacred place as well. And we were on a women's retreat there. And at that retreat, I was given the words, the time for being timid is over.
Right.
It's time for women to be bold.
Yep.
And so then after this otherworldly experience Friday night, as I was kind of landing again, that's what I kept hearing is no more hiding. So I'm coming out of the, not spiritual closet, I don't know what it is, but even though most of my family already thinks I'm very weird, they're going to think I'm even weirder. But I want to explain what happened to me because it's so important. I've been saying for a long time, you know, the divine feminine she's rebirthing herself through all of us. That's why this world is so off balance. We've got this, and it's not even the divine masculine. Let's not kid ourselves. This is patriarchal misogyny disguising itself as a religion.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with whatever it is that created us. I followed that for a very long time till my mid-30s, and then kind of started following my own spiritual path. I could not follow traditional religion anymore. And certainly I've known my whole life. I just remember, I mentioned this, I think when I was talking to Barbara Ireland, that since I was little, I would see women, you know, I have a huge family. My mom had, there were 5 sisters. Everyone had a ton of kids. We'd always have huge family gatherings. I was so blessed to have this huge family, all these cousins I love. But I'd see the women like just doing everything and taking no credit and being treated like shit and feeling bad about themselves, like always sacrificing themselves. And this is all wrapped up. My religion was Catholicism, but most religions are not very female-centric. And certainly most Christian religions are very not very supportive of female spirituality, certainly not as leaders or equal to. Yours is a little different, and maybe you can talk about wherever this leads, we'll see. But anyway, I was in this, we went in this deep meditation. I can't even tell you how amazing it is to have a group. There was 10 women, some of them I'd met before, some not, to be on this journey together, to be led by these amazing spiritual women deep into our souls, to reconnect with the divine feminine that has been lying dormant in all of us and waiting to be rebirthed in this world that needs her so badly. And we were all in our, I can't really tell you what anyone looked like because we were all in our own deep meditation, but we were facing our fears. Women were crying out and fighting their own limitations they put on themselves. And these beautiful women all in this room would say, "We're here, sister. You're safe. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to fear. We're here. We've got you. You can do this." And my experience in the beginning, I was terrified. I said, I can't do this. I'm too scared. And the one leader, she put her, so I could hold her hand. She said, "I've got you, sister. I've got you." I could hear them all. "We've got you. We've got you. You're safe. You're safe." And once I broke through that fear, I met her. This beautiful, incredible, divine, feminine that we have been ignoring and pretended didn't exist. And she's been replaced by these religions with rules and regulations and covering women up, and the love she has for us. And she kept saying, "It's okay." And she was light and she was joy. None of this, oh, blah, 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 all this stuff we do that's supposed to, in my religion, certainly it was all very heavy and solemn. And, this was not my experience of this encounter with what created me, what created all of us. We have been sold such lies. We have been enslaved and programmed to believe there's this male God in the sky that has a bunch of rules and we're here to suffer. And if we're good, maybe we'll get back there and then we get a mansion in the sky or whatever that stuff is. Oh my God, it's such lies. I really understand. We talked about Joan of Arc a few weeks ago. Like, I understand how people could say, "I will not deny what happened to me." And I don't want this tested. Okay, I'm not saying I'm willing to go under the fire, but I honestly don't care. I don't care the names people call me. I don't care if they say I've lost my mind, because I've been searching for this my entire life. I felt it. I knew it existed, but I hadn't really experienced it. I had glimpses of something, but not like this. I have been saying women are here to heal the world, but we have to heal ourselves first. And we do that by going inside, by rejecting the patriarchy's rules and all these things we're told we have to do and be. And I believed all that, but now I know it. Now I know it. And there is a divine masculine counterpart as well that is nothing like the bearded man in the sky that we've been sold. Sold is right too, because these churches are making big friggin' money off this lie, that's for sure. But what I want to say too is the one thing I always loved about the Catholic Church is at least we had veneration of a female. I know there's other religions do too, especially Eastern religions. I don't know as much about them, though I experienced them on Saturday. But she's so, she's pure and she's so one-dimensional. A virgin, a mother who gave birth. I'm sure there was no blood involved, or and definitely no sex. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. This, oh, and she's big and she's everything. And the thing is, she's not separate from us. She is us. She is every part of us. And she is so ready for any woman, maybe men too. That's not my area, but any woman who is ready and longing and hurting. Find your sisters, find your tribe, go inside. We need our sisters because we're going to get the slings and arrows. People are going to call us crazy and heretics. Like I said, I'll buy the t-shirt. Yes, I'm a heretic. I don't believe the bullshit dogma of the church at all anymore.
Mhm.
But anyway, so Friday night, and she came to, and she was just joy and love, and she just wanted all her daughters to wake from their slumber. Stop being servants. Stop thinking small of yourself. Stop hating your body. Stop hating your aging. My God, the wisdom that comes with aging. I could have never done this in my 20s. I was too, and I was always on this path, but there was still a huge part of me invested in being the hot chick. I like being the hot chick, you know? So there was too much of that still. Very happy to be the old crone now. No problem with that, because boy, what's coming with this? Like I said, been waiting my whole life. But anyway, then Saturday, we went into another ceremony, and she came with fire. She came with absolute fire and sexuality and sensuality. And there is not an ounce of her that's ashamed of who she is or what she is. And it was just, I'm still literally, I came home Saturday night, and I still have a whole like ceremonial altar cloth laid out in my den. Thank God I live alone, because I've been able to just allow this to flow, and not have not had to like tend to anyone. My kids are grown up, all that stuff. But I am astounded at the lies we have swallowed and labeled as sacred. I know there are still some good things in churches. There are things I love about my church. I can't go back. I can't go back there until you clean out. Till you clean out and you put half women in charge, and you atone for all the pedophilia, all the children that suffered because you were more worried about your money and reputation than you were your children that were being abused by these priests that you kept handing around over and over and over for decades and decades. You don't get my energy. You don't get my love or my support. I loved my Catholic school that I went to, grammar school, high school. These are some of my best friends. I mean, we're still so connected. I loved that sense of community. And you get a great education in the Catholic churches, all for free from the nuns, of course. I guess the boys' school have some priests, but anyway, I don't want to be anti-religion. If your religion is giving you true comfort and you feel you are having free expression of your soul, then good for you. But I ask you, if your religion is telling you that your religion is better than other religions, and because you are female, you are here to serve and you cannot serve in the same capacity as a male, you're being sold a bill of goods. People are making a lot of money off of you swallowing those lies as holy and sacred. And we do, because we want to be holy and sacred. We have this innate yearning, most of us, except some people who are atheists, maybe agnostics, but most of us feels like we want something. We want to connect with something spiritually. Even tribes in the jungles, they have their beliefs or whatever. And people have co-opted that, and they've corrupted it on us. And most of it is lies. Most of it is lies. What I have experienced, and I'm sure this will continue to unfold. It's not like a one and done, but you can never again get me to walk in any of these institutions that tell me females are less than males, that it's somehow sacred if I cover up all my body and be ashamed of myself. And I'll tell you something else. Actually, I want to stop for a minute, Siri. I'm going to let you talk, because go ahead. Otherwise, I may never stop. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh gosh. And I can feel the energy behind your experience and how powerful that is. And I want to say, for anyone listening, like those experiences are real and they can happen. But you kind of have to, sometimes they happen spontaneously, but more often than not, you kind of have to create the space and go look for them, because they're not supported in our world very much. But this is what the mystics, this is what the prophets, this is what the saints of all times and all religions, male and female, have had these experiences. Millions upon millions of people have had personal experiences that go beyond the knowledge. I love what you said. That's like, I always believed this, but now I know.
Mhm.
When it goes from the head down into your body, that is the goal of any spirituality and faith and learning and wisdom. That's actually what wisdom is when it finally becomes yours. It belongs to you. It is your experience, your lived experience, and you know. And no one can take that away from you. And no one can confuse you because you were there. Like that was my experience. And so as you're talking, I had several thoughts. And one is like, you know, there's really no, in a lot of ways, it's like we're all in the same boat, that we come into this world and we don't really know anything. And we have a culture and we have a parental family that we're involved in. And we are created for belonging. We're created to want to be a part of the family and to want to understand, like, you tell me what's going to make me belong. And so often it's behaviors and it's the religion, it's cultural understandings of what a boy girl, what a boy is, what a girl is, you know, good boy, good girl. Like all of this stuff gets taught to us. And of course we don't, very, very rarely do we question that when we're young. Because what do we know? We're young and we trust the adults in our life. We trust the priests, we trust the nuns, we trust the teachers, we trust them for the most part. And that's part of the life journey that we all go through. But part of what we know from people who've done this before is that's just like the springboard into the swimming pool. But you don't stand on this, you don't stand on like the springboard and look and go, I'm there, I'm in it. You're not. It got you. All of that got you somewhere. It gave you a perspective. It gave you a way to start. Now you got to jump into the water yourself. And that's your experience, your ability to do it yourself. And that is scary because in the process, you have to unlearn so much of what you were taught by people who, by the way, there are a lot of people in leadership who have no interest in learning more. They're done.
Mhm.
They're done. They see things black and white. They've got their degrees, they've got their fame, they've got whatever it is. And they might even be halfway decent people, but they are done learning. And um, for those of us who have the seeker's heart, we were given that for a reason. It was a way for God to keep us hungry and curious enough that we would get dissatisfied with the color by, you know, color and the,
Right.
God wants us to be an artist with a blank canvas of our own creation. We start out coloring in the lines, but then we get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? There's so many beautiful metaphors. And to ever be shamed for wanting to do more than just the little coloring books that you buy, but to actually want to get your own canvas and go crazy Pollock on it, that's our choice. That's our life experience. And some of us have that curious bug because we are the seekers who get to experience God in a very deep, profound level. And God is always, always, always bigger, always bigger. So I want to just share, you know, like I'm going to teach yoga teacher training right now. And I did not know that in Hinduism, some of the earliest sages were women. There was a circle of women who were considered the highest gurus. We're talking 3,000 years ago. Goddess worship was, you know, Shakti, Kali, Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, like that. They were powerful, glorious beings that didn't take shit from anyone. And these women were considered the most powerful when they were on their menstrual cycle, when they were bleeding. That was when they were the most powerful and people sought them out. And the Vedas, which are the oldest scriptures on the planet, women contributed to those Vedas, not just men, women. And then at some point, universally around the world, this shift happened towards the patriarchy, towards a masculine God, towards men only being in positions of power. And it was sort of this universal switch. And unfortunately, you know, I'm a Lutheran, and Christian, meaning my scriptures are pretty much 100% written by men, and probably 90% of the names and stories, if not more, named in the Bible are men. Right? It's
Yeah.
so
In
so
any books,
masculine.
whether it's laws, laws, constitution, whatever. Yeah, we don't
It's
exist. Politics, religion, we're kind
yeah.
of afterthought.
And because it's so much in recent memory, because these times have been forgotten, these before times have been forgotten, then people just think you're kind of wackadoodle for bringing it up. But what I want to say is last Saturday, I have to go to certain different classes to try things out. I have this friend that I've known for a couple of years. I've been following her on Facebook, and I went to her Earth Goddess yoga class. And I almost cried 3 different times during the class. Like, I wish I could kind of show you, but we're gyrating and spinning in every single
Mhm.
pose, we stop to get real juicy in what we're doing. And we just pause and you just close your eyes and you just do whatever the hell your body wants to do. And she even says that she's like, this is not your masculine, hold your rigid pose. And I'm going to like tell you if you're doing it right or wrong, like conform you into this rigid, athletic, masculine yoga, which is what most of us consider yoga. And it felt so good in my body. Like I felt powerful, I felt beautiful, I felt strong, my body felt fluid, like literally the inside of it was very, very fluid. And it was so wonderful. And I kind of got tears in my eyes a couple places because I was like, this is what I've been missing. This is yoga. This is yoga, not the you
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
that can have its place, and I need to learn how to do that. That's probably not what I'm going to be teaching. um and yet that is sort of like the birth of the divine feminine coming into all of these different areas, including yoga, which came over almost exclusively by men from India, taught to men through cycles of men, right? And so, and I'm not saying that they did anything wrong. It's just they had their experience.
Right,
I mean, if you can imagine, if the last 3,000 years have been completely dominated by women and women only, you might have men sheepishly going, but I don't experience it that way. Because
right,
they don't, of course they don't, because they experience it differently. Anytime you normalize one way of seeing the world as being a universal template, you're going to be wrong. And so adding the vast variety of what the divine feminine might be like in women and men to clean up and detoxify this imbalance that's been going on. And how has the world fared with the violence and the colonialism and the
right.
conquering and the capitalism and the all these C words of crushing nature, crushing human beings, slavery, just like how has that worked out for us? So, yeah, definitely. I don't think we ever have to blame ourselves for having believed the structure we were born into, because we are wired to listen to the leaders and to say, is that how the world works? Okay, thank you. I'm going to operate that way.
Yep. Programming.
However,
It's all programming.
however, that seeker part of us that is discontent, disquieted within us is holy. It's a holy discontentment that keeps us going. Is that really true? Is that really the way it is? And that's a holy thing. Sometimes we'll be shamed for it by people who are threatened. They're
You can
like,
count
well,
on
I know
that.
how it is. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Let them be offended. Let them be threatened. It is a holy thing to question and to go, I don't know if that's the full truth. I think there's more. And there is.
Well said. Very well said. I really want to say you know, the main reason I started this podcast is because when I went through this transition, I've said this before, when I was in my mid-30s, my kids were 10 and 16 and their dad left for work and he was dead within minutes from the house, was in a car accident, gone. And I had been very traditionally religious, very enmeshed. I went to mass every day. I said rosaries every day. I went to confession very enmeshed in my religion. So once I could function again, I started going to a silent chapel in my parish. And it was there that this whole transformation started. And I started being led away from traditional religion. Now, when your entire life, your entire foundation is this is what's true. I taught it. This is what's true because this is what I was programmed to believe is true. I always had a longing for God. So I followed the confines of Catholicism because that's what everyone I loved and who knew better than me taught me. But when that started, this transition, because you'll see, if you, when you go through it, those who are listening and watching, it's scary because it's like, I was thinking, how could I be led away from religion? This must be the devil. This must be something, because it couldn't possibly be. But what was opening inside of me, I was like, I have to follow this. This is beyond anything I've ever experienced in any church pew. And so I had to kind of follow that. But it wasn't overnight. It wasn't like that. And it was very scary. I would walk my floors at night when my kids were sleeping and just be like, God, please help me. I thought I was losing my mind. I really did. I thought I'm going crazy. This can't be. How can this be? And so I started the podcast because now I believe more than ever, especially up to this weekend, it's time, no more waiting. If you feel the call, find your tribe of women, reach out, connect, because we need each other. We need to hold each other's hands like everyone did. I have never experienced such sisterhood in this lifetime of just, you can do this, sister. We're with you. We've got you, as we all cried out our pains and fears until we could, get to our reconnection with our divine feminine spirit. And I'm going to tell you something else. I may swear right now, maybe I won't. Never let anyone again tell you you are lesser than because you are female. I have never experienced the kind of strength I experienced in that connection with those women. Fearless, bold, strong. And the fact that it's not people like this who are leading our religious institutions.
Right.
It's a crime. You are being given this much when it's actually the whole ocean that's available. There's no shame. That's one thing for sure. There is no shame. And I know a lot of people, I've always been fascinated with near-death experiences. And I was like, please, every time I'd have to have surgery, I'd be like, oh, let me have one. Let me almost die. Because I knew it was true. I knew it existed. I had a memory of it, but I didn't know it. I couldn't feel it in my bones the way I feel it now. Oh, I just lost my train of thought. I'm so all over the place. Sorry, do you have anything to say? Because
no,
I'm lost. I don't
think
want to just dump this on you, but what I was saying about the women, the strength, the power, and think about it. Even think about when you were growing up, who ran the show? Yes, our dads were very scary and they went to work and whatever, but who kept all the plates spinning? Who nurtured you? Who gave you succor? Who was the one that fed you? That spirit. That's the divine feminine. And it's not that men don't have it. Men have it. They're going to need each other because they have been so well trained to deny their feelings, and you cannot connect with the divine feminine or the divine masculine until you allow your feelings to flow. Why do you think this big resurgence of patriarchy? Just saw it yesterday. Fuck your feelings. Fuck your feelings. Because boy, if you start feeling your feelings, then you're going to reconnect. Then you're going to remember your own power. And they're not going to be able to control you anymore.
And
so they don't want you feeling.
And that is a clear separation of our responsibility to one another as sacred beings. It is the primary violation of the severing of the web of being, which you can't do, but it sure feeds into the illusion that we are separate. The first service that we give to each other is to recognize the sacred equality in each and every one of us. Before we do anything else, that's where it begins. And that alone is the hardest step. And so this perspective that eneminizes and it makes an enemy, eneminizes, is that a word?
I thought it would like enema, like I was trying to
Eneminizes.
figure it out. I like it, enema.
That this encouragement to make an enemy and to dehumanize the other is violent in thought and word, not just to our neighbor, but to ourselves, because we're severing spiritual cords that were there from birth. You know, it's all spiritualities know this. All spiritualities at their core say that the fundamental law of the universe is this reciprocal interconnected web of being, that we are connected to God, we're connected to each other, but there's been a disconnect that has happened for various reasons. We feel disconnected from God, even though God is inside of us and around us. We feel disconnected from our neighbor. We feel misunderstood, lonely, judged, condemned, and we feel disconnected from our own self by feeling worthless, by feeling less than, by allowing ourselves, by identifying with the masks we need to put on to belong rather than the divinity that is within us. So, and again, no judgment for this. This is the world that we're in. It's steeped with this. It's like blaming yourself for speaking French when you grew up in France. It's just how it is. But the encouragement here that people around the world are saying is this is the time to wake up to something better. And the medicine that is popping up is the divine feminine. And I just want to share another way to understand this for people who might be going, what does that mean? And how do I, does that just mean I start praying to the divine feminine, everything's fine or whatever? To me, the feminine aspect, the feminine energy of the universe is, yes, nurturing and loving, but it's also one that is friends with the darkness, that is friends with that which cannot be seen, that allows us to go into the parts of ourselves, our feelings, our griefs, our hurts, our pain, our shame, and greets every single part with love. All parts are welcome. Everything is welcome. That is powerful medicine. When we have been ripped apart into pieces and severed from each other and from ourselves out of shame and worthlessness and competition and you're less than, the medicine of the divine feminine is she takes your hand and she says, let's go into your hell together. And I will love everything you've demonized. And when we walk out of that hell and bring all of your demons into heaven, then you have the power to go out in the world and do the same. And no one will look like a demon to you anymore. And you will know how to love them because you will finally love yourself. That is the medicine of the divine feminine that is desperately needed in this world and is so powerful that we have not gotten from the masculine understanding. The masculine understanding has been do good, be good.
Yeah.
And so,
Buck it up.
yeah, buck it up. And so your intuition, your feelings, your hurts, your shame, you just buried it down, 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 down. And we were never taught what to do with it. So that is why we need the divine feminine, because she's powerful enough to say, I'm going to go in there with you. And we're going to redeem it all with love.
And the most important part of that, Siri, is not because she's this deity that goes, oh, yes, you did do that. I forgive you. Not at all. She's like, none of this means anything. You're doing this to yourself.
Yes.
Training, like you said. I love what you said. Like if we were in France, we'd be speaking French. We have been immersed in this wrongness, this totally misguided interpretation of who we are, what the divine is for so long that we couldn't help it. But I promise you, I carried so much shame for so long. Fear and shame, they were like my right and left hand, and I did work for decades to clear them out. And, a lot of things helped, but there was none of that. It wasn't like, okay, Mary, now this is something that she was just like, just stop this,
Yes.
let it go. But I had to do that. And that's what I love, the facilitator, who was amazing. I will love her, the main one, both of them, for the rest of my lives. I've loved them for eternity. What she would say is, free yourself, free yourself. She didn't say, follow my instructions, I have the answers, do exactly as I tell you, because nobody should be doing that, because it's going to be different for all of us. But if
Mm-hmm.
the yearning is there, if the calling is there, open yourself up. Your sisters will come to you. You'll find them. And that's the important part, is we do need each other, because it's scary. And that's what I said about this podcast, because when it happened to me, it's been a while since I was in my 30s. And I did find books and stuff, but we didn't have this yet or anything. So it was so scary. And now what I want to do is I want to get as many women talking about their spiritual experiences outside of patriarchal religion, so that maybe it won't be so scary and it won't take you so long to free yourself from all the programming that we've been fed for centuries, really, for centuries.
Yes. Yes. I love what you said, and that's a beautiful clarification if it was not clear. So much of what we've buried down has been what our culture has told us is sinful and bad. The divine feminine would laugh at that.
Yeah, she did. She was laughing. I'm telling
It's
you, she was
it's
laughing.
bullshit. It's
Yeah.
bullshit. It's bullshit. What we have been told is bullshit. Now, does that mean that there aren't things that we've done that have hurt people? Of course. Of course. Are there things that have been done to us that have hurt us? Of course. Of course. But when we've been taught to divide everything into these like sin categories and classifying in all of these ways that's deeply harmful. And what I have come to learn from my own channel writing that I do, I've gotten in the last year, the biggest message that keeps coming in over and over and over and over again is we need to detox ourselves from the poison of judgment and condemnation, because it's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lie. There is no condemnation and judgment in God. And this is how I know this. If you watch a movie and there's a villain in the beginning doing something awful, you're like, I hate that villain. He's evil. He's bad. And then the rest of the movie takes you back to when that villain was a child. And you watch their story of everything that's happened to them that leads up to the point where they're doing the bad thing. And now it's not like you say, oh, well, then it's okay. But you have compassion. You have compassion and you have empathy, and you realize that what that person needs is healing. They need an intervention. They need medicine. They don't need punishment and rejection, right? Imagine that times 8 billion people on the planet for all of human history. If God knows every single detail of every story of all of our lives going back from before time, how much empathy do you think God has for human beings? Overwhelming, more than we can imagine. And so when we finally stand before God, do you think God would do anything other than, oh, baby, come on, let me heal you. Oh, I know exactly what you need. I love you. I want to get you through this. If it's anything less than that, it's not worthy of praising. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not the highest God. It's some lower demigod that we need to evolve past.
What I loved about the experience I had, and again, I want to stress, don't follow anybody's rules. Don't anybody telling you instructions, forget it, because it's going to be different for all of us. Follow your heart. Follow your heart. We should be inspiring each other, not instructing each other.
Right.
Take inspiration, don't take instruction. But my whole life, I was always like, well, who am I? Because I was always really athletic. And I remember laying in my bed, especially my teenage years, and like this side of my room was all like my athletic trophies and all the tough stuff, because I was always really athletic and I always acted really tough. smoke my Marlboro Reds, drinking my old styles, you know, nothing wrong with that. But I needed to be that tough because I was so scared inside. And then on this side, I would have my candles and flowers, and I would always be like, which am I? I don't know. And then as I got, you know, more on the spiritual path, um, and my whole life I would see females being the way females are supposed to be. I was never that. I was always loud, was always outspoken. Um, I was never a gentle breeze. And I wanted to be, because that's how you're supposed to be, right? And so when Divine Mother came to me on Friday, she came, but not like the religious. She was just gentle and loving, and this really jolly mother who just held you in her arms and laughed at your recriminations of yourself, like, honey, let those go. They mean nothing. They mean nothing, right? But then what I loved on Saturday is she came as fire. Like, don't fuck with me. Really, seriously, like she's fearless. And so I'm like, oh, so they're both divine. However you are as female, it's divine.
Yeah.
Because we have been trained to be a certain way because that makes us controllable and keeps our mouth shut. I believe in the very bottom of my soul that the powers that be know if we ever wake up, if this divine feminine that is being rebirthed in this world right now wakes up, it's over for them.
Yep.
It's over for them. So
yep.
I want to make that clear, because even like I said, on the spiritual path, so many of my sisters that I love so much are so beautiful and gentle, and it's like they just float. I've never been there. I'm a clodhopper, and you know what I mean? But it's all okay, because that is divine feminine as well. And don't think being divine feminine means laying down and letting people walk all over you and, you know, sacrificing yourself for the greater good or whatever. No, that's religious teaching.
Yep. And that's why
she's as gentle as she is strong. Just remember that. She's as gentle as she is strong, and nobody walks over her. Nobody.
Yep. And that's why I'm very envious, and I love the goddesses of Hinduism, because you have on the one end, you have Kali.
Yeah. Oh, I saw her.
Scary as shit. She has fearless, and she's there to destroy the demons, or rather the unconsciousness, the ignorance that's in the universe. And so she is the most ferocious aspect of the feminine divine. And then it's all these different shades, all the way to the most nurturing. And that's what's beautiful, is like, not to say necessarily that these are different gods. You can have a different opinion on them, but rather to give names and images and stories is to teach us all the fullness of the divine. And you may resonate more, like, I really need Kali in my life because I don't have courage, or I really need this aspect in my life. And so you call in that aspect, and divine feminine will answer you. Of course she will, because, you know, she knows we need these stories. We need these archetypes. We need these things. And so all of us embodied in the fullness of who we're going to be are not going to look the same at all. Some of us will be floaty little people, and some of us are going to be, you know, really, really strong. The thing is the access to the fullness of all that we are. That when I need to be courageous, I can be. And when I need to be soft, I can be. That all those tools are available to me. That's what healing means for me.
Yes.
That I have within myself access to all of those parts. But that doesn't mean that we're in any way going to look just like each other.
Yeah, I love that. One last thing I want to say too is, if you're just, or maybe if you're just interested or just starting, don't really know where to start or whatever, luckily there is a lot more of us coming out of the woodwork and speaking these things. So Merlin Stone, When God Was a Woman, just love that book. The series got it. Yeah. And just let your heart lead you. It will lead you to the right people, places, material. But the most important thing is just start getting quiet. Roar like, oh, I've never seen that one.
I'm gonna roar like a goddess. This is the Hindu goddesses. I love this book. I love this book. So I highly recommend that too, because it's very, very much encouraging women to wake up to the medicine of the divine feminine. I highly recommend that one too, if people feel comfortable. Yeah.
And there was one other thing, the books and oh, get quiet, and this is a big thing, because I know it's hard, but our television shows that are targeted toward women are meant to keep us separate, meant to keep us focused on how big our boobs are, what our ass looks like, and how young we look.
Mhm.
Which, that's all fine too. That's the other thing. Don't think for a minute, oh, if I become spiritual, I can't wear makeup. None, it doesn't mean anything. Do whatever you want with your body. It's your body. That has nothing to do with feminism or spirituality or anything else. That's your own expression.
Mhm.
But all these reality shows where, what's the one where they get roses for a, yes, I get how
Bachelorette
they can be
and
entertaining, because when my daughter loved them, you know, and she's on her own now, but they could suck you in. They do. They know what they're doing. And especially, I'm sorry, but there are programs that the whole premise is catfighting, women fighting, women fighting. They want money. They fight over men. I mean, they're encouraged to fight. Get drunk and fight. Get drunk and fight. Get drunk and fight. And as long as we're separate, how many times do you hear women say, oh, I don't trust women. All my friends are men, or I don't have any women friends, which is heartbreaking. You are cutting off your supply source.
yeah.
You've been trained to do it. I love that you said that. That's a perfect way to put it. You were born in France, so of course you only speak French. We were born in this world, definitely this country, that has diminished and demeaned the feminine for so long, turned us into playthings,
Mhm.
made us believe we were powerless, and we're here to serve as lovely little servants. How
Mhm.
convenient.
Mhm.
So anyway, we will be talking about this a lot. We have Siri on a lot. And yeah, I have a guest on next week, Kristen, who also had an experience that she'll be sharing, but I honestly don't know what else to say. I'd like to say to any of my family members that have watched this, I know you're going to be talking about me. I still love you. You know, it is what it is, but this is who I am. This is my path, and I will not abandon it for anyone or anything.
Mhm.
It's everything I've ever experienced in my life, everything I've longed for my entire life.
Mhm.
So Siri, please tell people where they can connect with you, see your work.
Yeah, I work at Atonement Lutheran Church in Bloomington. You can look us up. You can find me on SiriStrommen.com.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening, being here. Open your minds. You can do it. Till next time. Bye-bye.